I'm Justin Escoto, and we're here at the John Freeman Walls Historic Site and Underground Railroad Museum in Puce, Ontario, which is about 30 minutes outside of Windsor, Ontario. I'm a 7th generation descendant of John Freeman Walls and Jane King Walls, who were freedom seekers on the Underground Railroad back in the 1840s. I used to work at this historic site, and I'm here to show you a little bit of the region's rich Black history. This historic site sits is where the Underground Railroad had its end. John Freeman Walls was enslaved in Rockingham County, North Carolina in the early 19th century. He was close friends with his slave master's son Daniel, a white man. A relationship of this kind was unheard of.
When Daniel was older and he was on his deathbed, he entrusted his wife and 3 children to the care of John, and Jane was Daniel's wife. But these two fell in love, realizing that their only recourse was to make the perilous journey on the Underground Railroad to here, these exact grounds at the John Freeman Walls Historic Site and Underground Railroad Museum, where they built their log cabin in 1846, and that's exactly where our lineage stems directly from John and Jane.
The museum is an all-outdoors walking tour and features many important sites to the Walls family lineage. Visitors will see the original log cabin that John Freeman Walls built for himself, Jane, and their 9 children. The site also features a makeshift chapel dedicated in honor of civil rights activist Rosa Parks, who was a frequent visitor of the Walls Museum. But one that easily hits home is the Walls family cemetery.
Here is where John and Jane are laid to rest.
Such a powerful spot, eh?
Yeah, from Rockingham County, North Carolina to here.
And it's something that's so close to just the house that's over there.
I know, isn't it lovely? Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah, thank you.
Land stayed in the family for over a century and was eventually converted to a museum by Dr. Bryan Walls in 1989. Now 79 years old, Walls says that the message is as important now as it was then.
You know, even today, we make the history relevant to today, even if some hardship and some consternation, that if they made it through back in the days of the Underground Railroad, we can make it through today.
Bryan's daughter Brittany Walls is next in line as head operator at the Walls Historic Site. Growing up on and around the historic site, she says she's excited to take on a role so important to her.
So Dr. Bryan Walls is my dad, and I actually grew up here barefoot. In fact, I remember running around on this deck, and one day Mrs. Rosa Parks and her entourage just showed up. So not only did I just grow up steeped in this and hanging around people like Mrs. Rosa Parks, I didn't realize until I was older what a gift it was and who those people were.
Dr. Walls employs local youth who've descended from John and Jane Walls to help in tour guiding and property maintenance. I was one of them back in 2019. He says that the work is much more than just a paycheck.
You know, they got to remember that they stand on the shoulders of great men and women that have gone before.
Freedom seekers would get north is by following the side of the tree that the moss grows on. And
for those who visit the tour, Brittany says she wants people to leave feeling uplifted.
The thing that makes our museum so special is that relationship of John and Jane. John, who was a Black slave, and Jane, who was a white woman of Irish and Scottish descent, who didn't have to traverse the Underground Railroad experience, but out of love, she did. And so we're here today because of that, and I think that's how our message carries on. When you leave with a tingling of joy, everything you do that day just has a little pep to it. So that's what we hope, just to spread joy.
It's been over 170 years since John and Jane Walls landed on this site, and it's been an honor being able to share part of my heritage and a bit of Canada's Black history as well. I'm Justin Escoto with CBC News in Puce, Ontario.